Even though stores have been displaying Christmas decorations and holiday gift ideas since before Halloween, I find it hard to believe that we're only 2 weeks away from the first Sunday in Advent. According to those who study these kinds of things, this is actually the time of year when many people decide it might be time to try church. But if they come in anticipation of what the world declares this time of year is all about, they're going to be very disappointed. No glittering decorations, Mary, Joseph, or baby Jesus, no shepherds or angels in these end-of-year church gospels. They're not exactly texts that anyone looks forward to hearing or preaching about. Maybe this time right after Advent requires a different kind of preparation than the Hallmark stores or Target or Amazon would have us believe. How many times have you been warned? Buy now. Time is running out. As if we don't have enough anxiety already. It almost seems like merchants are trying to instill a sense of panic in us. The lectionary texts we hear today set a very different tone than the worldly holiday season that surrounds us. These texts say, don't panic. Now, personally, I hate these words because if you say those words to me, you might as well leave off the word don't, because as soon as I hear them, I panic. Those are the words we use when someone comes to us experiencing a crisis. They may have lost their job or have a serious financial problem, be experiencing a problem in a relationship with a spouse or one of their children or parents. They're anxious and they feel like the world is caving in on them. They're afraid and they can't see any way out of their situation. In my experience, when people are in this desperate state, they tend to either run, turn into themselves, or respond with a knee-jerk reaction. Reminding someone, other than me, of course, not to panic isn't an attempt to discount their pain or minimize their problem. We're suggesting that they may have a distorted perception of what's going on. And this is the case with the disciples today. An oppressive government is persecuting them, and they feel powerless under tremendous pressure, and life seems dark and hopeless. Blinded by anxiety and unable to see into the future, they wonder if the end is near, and they feel panic. The temple, the most beautifully adorned structure that anyone could imagine, will be torn down. After hundreds of years occupying the central place in the national life, religion, and imagination of the Jewish people, how could this possibly happen? Theologian N.T. Wright compares this prophecy to Americans trying to imagine the destruction of the Washington Memorial or the Statue of Liberty. Maybe some of you felt this way on January 6th. How could this possibly be happening to our capital? The thought of the temple being destroyed was devastating to these people, and even more so because the symbolic place that it held in the collective memory of the people. The temple embodied 1,000 years of God's relationship with the people. Already, Jesus announced that although the disciples will always be his followers, a time is coming when he will no longer be with them. They fear the turbulent times that lie ahead. They hear Jesus' talk of God's kingdom, of peace and grace for all, and yet now he tells them about divisions that will occur and that they will take the blame for everything. But don't panic. Jesus assures the disciples that they can face this time without fear. He will give them words and wisdom. And by their endurance and faithful persistence, they will find life. And so they have to make a choice. Either they can respond out of that place of fear and confusion, which basically means they panic, or they can respond out of love, out of the same steadfast love that Jesus has shown to them. As disciples, we're no different from them. And we face that same choice every day, every minute of our lives. Whenever things of epic proportions are happening, like hurricanes or wars or catastrophes or Washington, D.C. right now, or family issues, what to serve for dinner tonight, or hearing apocalyptic passages on Sunday morning, we think that the world is coming to an end. But Jesus says, don't panic. 2,000 years later, here we are, still waiting for Christ to return. Now that's endurance. We don't know how or when or where, but we do know that we are called to continue to live and work and love in community as God's people and not grow weary in doing what is right. The readings remind us that we are to remain vigilant. In Isaiah, we hear of a blessed time, a new order when God will overcome life's challenges. In the canticle, we hear a song of thanksgiving and praise, announcing the vindication of those who have placed their confidence in God. In the epistle, Paul encourages the people of Thessalonica to remain apart from the world, to cultivate things that are truly important and continue their efforts. And in the gospel, we are assured that even in difficult times, God will be with us. This 21st chapter of Luke is considered an apocalyptic text, which means it describes or prophesies about the end of the world. As a genre of biblical literature, the gloom and doom of the apocalyptic texts have often been used, now don't panic, to scare people into obedience and generate fear for the future. But ultimately, these passages are about the good news of the gospel. They serve as a wake-up call to us to pay closer attention to the world around us and to hold fast to our faith. A faith that looks beyond our personal circumstances, our own little storms and tornadoes, our own panic, and look to the promises of God. You've probably heard the quote from Vivian Green. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance the rain. Many people will remain untouched by the words that they hear, yet they will be moved by the way we live our lives, by our decisions and our actions, by how we choose to live out our faith, by whether we are able to dance in the rain. Our actions are revelations of God. Now, I want you to think for a minute about what a newcomer, a visitor to this church would think upon entering that door. The first thing that they would see is the rack of new coats. Obviously not belonging to anyone here. It's a little too hot for one thing, but they all have price tags on them. So they're going to someone else. I don't know how many coats are out there, but there is an abundance of generosity expressed by that coat rack. And then they move a few more steps forward and they see the abundance of food that's being offered to the food bank. It's absolutely incredible. This is not built upon what was given last week. Kelly Scott already took that to the food bank. This is new today. Anyone walking into this church would see an incredible amount of generosity. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that show of generosity. In the midst of a world that is often complex and confusing, the belief that good will prevail in the end is good news for all of us. And it is so needed today. No one can predict the end of the world, but in the meantime, we are called to carry out our responsibilities as disciples, as preparation for the new Jerusalem. We can't be fearful. We can't just curl up and shut the world out and pull the covers over our head. Rather than respond out of fear, out of panic, choose to respond out of the same steadfast love that Jesus shows us. Every day we have opportunities to make a difference while we're still living on this earth. We can bring peace to a friend who is fearful. We can stand up for justice. We can offer food to the hungry. We can offer hope to those who are hopeless. We can help build the new Jerusalem now, right here. As we hear Paul say to the Thessalonians in the epistle, brothers and sisters, do not weary in doing what is right. The transforming power of God's love will work in each of us. Now, don't panic, and remember, dance. Amen.